You're over 40, you're over 50, you've just been broken up with. You might be asking yourself, why can't I get over this? Why is this so hard for me to move on? Look, I'm here to tell you that you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're not weak. You weren't broken up with, you were discarded. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons that it's a lot more difficult to start healing over 50, especially if it's from a discard. And then I'm going to give you at least one concrete thing you can do in each of those 5 areas to start healing today. Let's dive into it. This wasn't a breakup, it was an emotional execution. I mean, you invested time, love, resources, everything you can think of into this person. You built an identity around this person, and now it's gone. You might feel ashamed. You might feel foolish. You might not feel like you can get your life back. Hell, you may still miss and want this person back. It just doesn't feel right, and it doesn't feel normal not to have this person in your life. So, one of the biggest things that no one talks about as to why this is so hard, reason number one, you're grieving lost time, not just a person. Time. Think about it. You're over 40, you're over 50, time matters. And if you're in your 20s or early 30s, a discard is still extremely difficult to get over. It's an assault on the nervous system by someone who pretended to love and care about you. It's crushing. So even someone who's in their 20s, 30s, it's going to be tough for them too, but logically they know they've got time ahead of them. They know they have years and options and life in them. And at 40s and 50s, we do too. We still have more years left. But the difference between us and someone younger who's gone through this is that we have already built a life. When you're over 40, over 50, there's so many factors that can make a discard worse, especially when it involves time. Sunk cost fallacy, right? That's not just in business, that's in life. You invested months, years, possibly even decades into this person, and it's gone now. You may have had kids together, or you may have blended families, or you may have at least met their children, or they've met yours, or both. Your lives intertwined. You became part of their inner world, and they became part of your inner world. And now it's gone. The future you planned, gone. The story you told yourself about that relationship is no longer relevant. I mean, you're left wondering if it was even real. So you have so much doubt about what you built with that person, and it leaves you ruminating. It leaves you ruminating on wanting them back, or knowing that you don't want them back or can't have them back. It wouldn't be good for your health, mentally or physically. You know that they're bad for you, you know they're wrong for you, but you still want them back in your life. Or you know that they're bad and they're wrong for you and you don't want them back, but you don't know how to move on. You don't feel good enough. This person left you feeling worthless. And while it may be easy to understand all of that logically, why is our body and our minds revolting against us? Reason number two, your nervous system has less buffer now than it did before. So now I want to talk about why our bodies and our minds are reacting differently than they might have 20, 30 years ago, or even more. And it's our capacity. Trauma, especially from a toxic relationship, hits a whole lot harder at 51, 52 than it does at 21 or 22. You just have less capacity. You've already had more traumas, failed relationships, possibly even career changes, loss of career, loss of loved ones, parents. You've already lived some life that has put some dents in your psyche and possibly even your body, most likely your body too. And so your capacity just isn't as big as it would be for someone who hasn't been through all those things. Like I said, someone in their early 20s, they still have their whole lives ahead of them and they know it. No matter how bad it hurts for them, they know they can move on. They know there's time and they know there's options. When you're older, when you're in midlife, 40s, 50s, or beyond, you don't feel that same level of confidence for the most part. Some might, but life has already chipped away at you. People have already chipped away at you. If we're over 40 or over 50 and we've been discarded like this, that's a significant injury. It's a significant psychological injury that doesn't just affect you up here, but it does in your body too. So our minds and our bodies are revolting against us. This doesn't make sense to us. But you have to remember and you have to think about the fact that your stress bucket is already full. You haven't created more capacity to handle things like that. This doesn't mean that you're broken or that your nervous system is broken. It just means that you're overloaded. The current state you were in was not ready to handle something so shattering to your life. So if you've been shaming yourself, wondering, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I good enough? Am I going to be alone the rest of my life? Am I just not good enough to love? Am I not lovable? If you've been shaming yourself, I want you to snap out of it right now. And I want you to hear this. Your body's doing exactly what it is supposed to do. It's protecting you. It thinks you're in danger. It thinks there's a survival threat. And we know there's not, right? Logically, we know we're safe. Logically, we know we're going to be okay. So what can we do to start calming our nervous system? Now, some of these that I'm going to tell you in this video, I thought were bullshit. When they were recommended for me to do, I thought they were bullshit. And I tried them. I tried the breathing, I tried the walks, tried everything, and it didn't seem to help me. And then I'm like, okay, if something keeps coming up as a way to regulate your emotions and your nervous system, there has to be something to it. And what I found is the intention matters as much or more than the actual activity that you're doing. If you go for a walk, don't ruminate on that person. If you go for a walk, think about how healthy that walk is for you. Think about how good it is for your body and your heart and your mind to get out there in nature, to hear the birds, to hear the water running, to hear the kids playing, and to just know that you're doing something good for yourself. Set the intention. When I learned to set the intention on these activities, they help significantly. So breathing, there's different methods, there's different ways. Two of my favorites, there's the physiological sigh, which is the one Andrew Huberman talks about, where that's like when a kid is crying or someone's been crying really hard, and at the end of it, you probably remember doing this yourself. You're like, that actually does significantly reduce anxiety, and it does it really quick. And if you set the intention like, hey, I need to calm myself, I need to take care of myself right now, this is what I'm going to do. Set that intention. You go for a walk, set the intention. I'm going for a walk right now to solve some problems, to think about my health, my mental health, my physical health, to get some steps in, to get some sunlight, and to get some fresh air. If you set the intention of doing this activity because it's good for you and not just because you're told to do it, then it's going to help. It helped me significantly. And I was a huge skeptic of all these. Another breathing method, box breathing, the in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. All different time schemes you can use, but ultimately it's what it is about is setting the intention that you're going to calm your nervous system. You're going to get yourself out of that fight or flight or freeze or fawn, and you're going to get yourself into a regulated parasympathetic, or at least just somewhat regulated neutral state. You got to get yourself out of that wired state. And if you set the intention and you do these things, they will help. I also think working out really fits in this, but it's longer. When you're working out, you're in there for an hour or more sometimes, most of the time. And there is more of an opportunity for you to slip back into rumination, especially when you're resting. Rest periods. If you're in a strength cycle and your rest periods are 3 minutes, there's time to ruminate. So, as much as I love lifting weights for mental health and physical health, I think overall I just love being strong. And so I do my lifting for a different purpose. But if I said it didn't help me at all, I'd be lying. It's been one of the best things I've done for my mental health. But I think for a discard, there are some emergency things we need to do for our nervous system. And I think the breathing and the walks are enormous. But this isn't just about biology. Over 50, there's another layer that can quietly poison your recovery. And it's a word I've already mentioned before: shame. Reason number 3, shame hits deeper when you're over 50. One of the worst sentences I think I can hear, even especially dangerous to the individual that you can hear when they're over 50 and have been discarded, is, I should have known better. I myself have said those, not only said that phrase, but I'll even halfway joke that, I saw those red flags and I just blew right the fuck through them. And I did. You may be even giving in to certain cultural expectations or norms. Like at my age, I should have had this figured out by now. I should have known better than that. No one will want me now. I'm not lovable. My friends, family, everybody thinks I'm an idiot for falling for this person. Now, I want to give you one simple reframe that helps pull you out of the shame spiral. What we need to do is move from, I should have known better, at my age, I should have figured that out, to, I deserved better information and I deserved better treatment. Now, here's the part that can be really frustrating, but also can help free you a little bit. You were chosen by this person. Mine even told me, I chose you for a reason. I just didn't know what she meant by it. I thought it was a good thing. Apparently not. They choose you for your empathy, your validation, your care for them, your loyalty, your devotion. They need that for their supply. They didn't choose you because you were stupid. So think about using those reframes. I deserved better information and I deserved better treatment. Start defending yourself, sticking up for yourself, even if it's just internally. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, not only the thoughts that you have, but what you're actually saying to yourself. Now, once shame has you by the throat, it's really easy to fall into the next trap, which is reason number 4, believing it's simply too late. Too late to find love again. The it's too late lie keeps you stuck. The toxic partner may be gone, but that voice still lingers. You will hear their betrayal and their cruelty and their distance every time you say to yourself, it's just too late. It's their voice saying that, not yours. One of the cruelest things that a narcissist can do, or any other toxic partner can do to you, is warp your sense of time. When you're hurting this much, you know there's work to be done. You know you need to surround yourself with friends and family. You know you need to get into therapy. You know you need to have community. There needs to be healing that needs to be done. And eventually you need to get yourself back out there and meet someone new. And if you're over 50, that sounds like a lot of shit you have to do when you don't feel like you have enough time. We're not all we're not granted tomorrow. None of us are. But if you take care of yourself and you're healthy, ideally we do have some years left. So what if we commit some months or possibly even a year or two to healing ourselves, to being a better version of ourselves, to growing and becoming better than we ever thought we could be? And when I start thinking about those things, it can pull me out of that despair a little bit and go, you know what? I do have some time to invest in myself. So what does that look like? Here's an exercise I love. If I had to think about the next 5 years of my life being the most self-respecting, honest years of my life, what would I stop tolerating? Now, before I move on to the next thing, I encourage you, when you get to the end of this video, go ahead and jot down 1 to 3 things that you would no longer tolerate if you spent the next 5 years as the most honest, self-respecting version of you. Now, the last reason I want to share with you is the most hopeful one. When you're over 50, that's when your power really shows up. So reason number 5, you're actually ready for much deeper healing now. And that's the part that no one tells you. When you're over 50, you're ready for deeper healing. Things that were tolerable when you were 30 become much more intolerable when you're over 50. That's not a problem. That's not you being grumpy or salty. It's growth. You're more aware now. You've lived more life. You have more experience. So your tolerance for bullshit and dysfunction is much lower now. At this stage in our life, we're wanting peace, authenticity, connection, not chaos and cruelty and drama from some toxic partner who thinks they're a fucking genius, but is really just an emotional infant. But it hits hard because you tolerated their bullshit. You lost your identity in this person. So the rebuild is tougher because, in a way, you essentially abandon yourself. I know I did. But the cool thing is that we know when we start to heal, we can start to develop those boundaries, gain clarity, and make much more healthy choices for ourselves. So remember, you're grieving lost time, not just a person. Have less of a buffer at 50. You're probably dealing with some shame. You might be feeling it's too late. And you might be feeling like healing is just going to be way more difficult because you have so much more of it to do and it can go deep. If it feels safe, share your age and which part of this video hit home the most for you. I read every comment and it helps people our age realize that we're not alone in this. Also, if you're stuck in the rumination trap and you can't figure out how to get out, maybe you're constantly replaying that highlight reel, check out this video and it'll show you how to get out of that rumination loop and have a good plan to start moving forward. Thank you so much for watching. And if I was able to provide any value for you today, I would appreciate it if you like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.